took care of my rent. Or at least the pay that I got was enough to pay my rent. But I soon realized I needed a car because now I'm not in the country where I can hop on a truck or walk around and got to take the bus. Needed transportation. My wife had to work. She was working, so I had to go to work too. And then I realized I had to go back to the classroom. So I was pretty much bivocational. Most of this time I was teaching and going pastoring, teaching and pastoring. I was still involved in this leadership training program, which was out in Mandeville, which was another hour and a half, 2 hours ride. So I would go to school Monday to Friday. Monday night I would go to one church for Bible study. Tuesday night I'd go to another one. And Wednesday I'd go to another one. So I had Bible study for 3 nights. Each church saw me at least once a week. And at one of the churches when I was in Kingston, we usually have what they call fasting meetings once a week. We would meet together for prayer and all that stuff and fast, no food. And we decided that the church had needs in the community. So we just started talk about it right there, and it was like, well, what are we going to do about it? We had about 3 nurses in our church, and they decided that they would take blood pressure, whatever, one every week. We had space in the church, so we just used a part of it for office. We consulted some doctors in the area, and they were willing to come in at least once a month to give kind of free help to these people. They weren't going to charge them, they were really poor people. So they would come in and they would check them, do whatever the doctor has to do for them. We found out too that there are people in the area who needed clothing and food. And there was a church organization that had food distributing, but you had to be registered as part of the organization. So I would go to this place, it's Food for the Poor, yeah, that's the name of the organization. I would be one of those persons who would go to the Food for the Poor every week, pick up the stuff, and then other members of the church would parcel it, put it in little parcels, 2 pounds, whatever. And the clothing that we got from Food for the Poor, we would distribute it to people in the area. And we had big time. People come in, they needed the clothing, needed food. We kind of made certain, we didn't have, when that thing started, there wasn't a lot of other church. Well, in that area, I didn't know of many other persons or places. So we didn't have to kind of track them down to see if these people were going to another one to get this or get that, you know.
So basically you were taking care of their spiritual and their physical needs.
Definitely. And at the same time we were offering counseling, recommending people to different areas. You know, if we had people in the area who needed to get married, I did a lot of the marriage counseling, did the marriage, didn't charge them nothing for it. We were sponsoring students to go to school. I was part of the Sundays program. That's a local level.
So did you really enjoy this kind of work?
Yeah, a whole lot.
A whole lot?
I really enjoyed, I mean, it's like I really put my own self into it. It gave me, you see, it came out, I wasn't involved in this, in these rigid structures. There was a lot of room for creativity. You could, for example, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I remember starting up a program at one of the churches in Kingston where the people were not coming to us because of our kind of worship was a little bit, not much like the inner city struck with a lot of excitement, you know. It wasn't that. And one of the things I realized that we have what we call yards, big old yards. Well, if you want to think about like this housing complex, but it's not these kind of people. It's those poor people who live, for example, there are 5 houses in this one yard.
Yeah.
Each house may have 3 rooms, and each of those rooms has a family with children in there. And these people, you know, they didn't have clothes, so they dressed anyhow. They came to church, you know. Sometimes they didn't fit in. to be honest. You know, Sunday people put on the dress and it's nice, come to church, and they came a couple times and see a couple people had cars and they didn't have any, you know, they didn't feel a part of it. So we developed a program where we would take the church there. I'm not sure we didn't have a lot of success in it because it was kind of different. The people were going to church there. For me, it was a venture. I'm talking now and thinking about a venture I really had. You know, going out there, meeting these people, had a couple people who were willing to go with me. We visit them, arrange to have meetings in their homes. And in the yard, bring all these children out, all these people came, and we had, sometimes in the process of me trying to preach, somebody's trying to, hey, pastor, I'd like to ask a question. Hey, yes, can you explain what you just said here? And it was like, man. I wasn't used to, I'm used to a one-on-one basis. So now we have a whole bunch of people, sometimes as much as 40 of them, sitting down there listening to me, asking me, 10 people want questions, so I had to control it. Okay, you. At the end of the evening, I mean, I felt pleased that I was able to answer these questions. I remember one of these instances that I was going to be marriage officer for one of these families. And I went to the house because I wanted to talk to them. And instead of talking to the two people, everybody in that house, 4 people, all the children, all the people came and sat down while I was trying to talk to these people about the things we're going to talk about. You know, talk about what is love, what is relationship, how it's supposed to be, what is this. And it was kind of crazy, man. I sat there and I'm trying to share and the other person dipping in the argument. Yes, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Eventually, I got in that program. Outside of that, outside of going that, I would have gone to the other churches, the other 2 churches, do some same kind of program. But they were kind of out in the country and they were not as thickly populated. So I wanted anything that would come to church and get that stuff done.
Okay, hold on.